Everyone, welcome to This Just In.
And It's Grim, a bi weekly series where two friends of 3 decades chat about dark subjects.
Before we begin, you should be warned that our series contains language, themes, and material not suitable for children or sensitive Sallies.
So hide your babies and your boomers, and let's dig in.
We can kind of
Yeah.
but I feel like at one point in time we should make an a timeline of where all these hate groups are and how they overlap because this is happening. And then the last one we talked about, I feel like these times are very lined up.
It's the same decades are overlapping.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
I want like a chart and I want like lines and I want like
the
pictures
the red yarn and everything.
fucking faces taped to this fucking board,
Well, yeah,
that's like
just
I'm almost to that point, really.
because it's so similar. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not so similar. It is exactly the same. It's not like, and I do have a piece on that a little bit at the end where I'm like, hey
Yeah.
guys, let me break this down for you. Like, because I feel like I'm going a little crazy because I keep running into the exact same information verbatim, but it's like, oh no, people are just behave this way everywhere
Yeah.
because people are not that fucking different.
So welcome back, guys. We are spinning
Welcome
out of
back.
control here.
We are
We
fucking spinning.
I decided to click the record button in mid rant because we are just as two people who maybe growing up were not very interested in history and learning about things that maybe,
No.
we should have known. It's, just going in rabbit and circles right now. So, anyways, welcome back. We
Yeah, welcome
are,
back.
we are here and we are doing an episode on more hate groups.
Yep.
These motherfuckers.
God, we hate them, but not as much as they hate everyone else.
I was watching videos about them straight up attacking people on the streets and just
I was
and then
just
groups,
this afternoon.
groups of them.
Just this afternoon, I threw a thing on and was like, "You rat fucking bastards!" They attacked like a group of young looking.
And I'm talking like under 12 looking kiddos on like the side. I mean, they could have been 13, 14 maybe, but they were like young looking kids on the street and they got into a yelling match back and forth. And these dudes pummeled them and beat the shit out of them. I guess we should tell you guys who we're talking about.
Let's
These
get into
are
it.
the gray wolves of Turkey.
Yeah.
That's what I have them named as because they have all those stupid fucking names. So anyways, before we get into it and you guys learn some more, why don't you strap in and let Mima warn y'all?
This episode contains content about hate speech and hate crimes, including murder against women and children, terrorist activity and abuse. Buckle up.
My goodness, that's a lot.
What? Yeah, I'm a huh? What? I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone. I'm a bad student, but you knew that. Put your phones away. No.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Okay. I'll kind of talk through some information regarding Turkey and their political systems, kind of some general info to get us started. So, before we talk about the Grey Wolves, it kind of helps to understand the political environment they operate within. Each government structure looks familiar on the surface, but it functions very differently from the political systems in the United States. Turkey is officially a presidential republic, but its modern systems has undergone major changes over the past century. The Republic of Turkey was founded in 1923 by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk,
Remember
this
the
last
rule. If they're
Yep.
assholes, we can botch the name.
So after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Ataturk established a secular nationalist state designed to modernize Turkey and separate religion from government. For decades, the country operated under a parliamentary system in which a prime minister led the government while the president held mostly ceremonial powers. That system changed dramatically in 2017 following a constitutional referendum supported by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Turkey formally transitioned from a parliamentary democracy to a strong presidential system. Under the structure, the president now holds sweeping executive authority, including the ability to appoint ministers, issue executive decrees, influence judiciary, and dissolve parliament under certain conditions. In contrast, the United States operates under a strict separation of power system. The American president cannot dissolve Congress, and executive authority is balanced by the legislative and judicial branches, supposedly. I mean, not so much right now. But Turkey's newer presidential model centralizes much more power in the executive branch. Critics argue that this consolidation of authority weakens institutional checks and balances. While supporters claim it allows for stronger national leadership, political parties also function differently in Turkey. Party discipline is typically much stronger than in the US. Nationalist movements have historically played a significant role in shaping Turkish politics. One such movement is the ultra-nationalist ideology that produced the Grey Roots.
Okay. Well,
Okay, well,
I'm sorry, was that it?
Yes, that was
Okay.
it.
I thought so. Sorry. Then I thought you said something. Well, thanks for giving us the background info. To know where we are, it helps to see where we started. So, the Grey Wolves are also known as the idealist hearths. They are a far-right, fascist, nationalist, and racist hate group that have infiltrated political spaces in Turkey. The Grey Wolves formed in the late 1960s by a man named Alparslan Turks. Alparslan was born in
born in
1917 and was orphaned as a baby, but eventually was adopted. His adopted family immigrated to Turkey when he was 15, and by 16, he was beginning his military education and career. In 1938, he joined the army, and this is around the time he began participating in hate speech and attended racism rallies. This led to him being charged with fascist and racist activities in 1945 and sentenced to 10 months in prison. After his time playing soldier and his prison stint, he spent time starting a family, but would return to his old ways in May 27, 1960, when he served as a speaker of a coup against the acting prime minister. The coup was a success, and Alparslan assumed a position as an undersecretary of the prime
secretary of the
minister,
prime minister.
effectively beginning his political
His
career.
political
Albeit short-lived, because as soon as Alparslan and the new leaders
leaders
they would not
that
be
they would
returning
not be
power to
returning
the
power to
citizens,
the
an internal coup expelled them, and Alparslan was exiled to New Delhi until his return in 1963. By 1965, Alparslan was elected chairman of the Republic Villager Nation Party, or CKMP. In 1969, the CKMP would be renamed the Nationalist Movement Party, or MHP. And as leader of the MHP, Alparslan would also become head of the Grey Wolves, the youth wing of the political party. Of course, this would turn out to be a guise. What the Grey Wolves represented wasn't youth, but instead grown men with archaic ideals and a violent agenda against the very populace they are duty-bound to protect. But again, what happens when the rule makers are the rule breakers? When the executive branch abuses its power? The Grey Wolves began this abuse in the late 70s. Members often engaged in violent guerrilla warfare with left-wing political activists and military, resulting in 5,000 deaths over the ordeal, or an average of 10 assassinations a day. This was from both sides. But specific to the Grey Wolves were 4 events that would mark this time as one of the most violent in Turkey's history. Bloody May Day was an attack on leftist demonstrators on May 1st, 1977 in Istanbul. Armored trucks showed up and right-wing militants began firing and launching explosives. This resulted in the deaths of 42 civilians and 220 injuries. Injuries ranged from bullet wounds to crushing under vehicles. None of the perpetrators were ever apprehended. Some of the demonstrators, on the other hand, were detained for disturbing the peace. 1978 saw a wave of crimes against leftist students, including the Bayazit Square massacre, where police blocked an exit of the school, allowing gray wolves to bomb and shoot students, resulting in 7 deaths. The Boxelivler massacre occurred in October, when members of the Grey Wolves murdered 7 university students in their apartments on campus, and the Maras massacre that lasted for an entire week in December and resulted in the deaths of over 100 leftists. It began when a cinema and a coffee shop were bombed, followed by the murder of 2 leftist activist teachers when they were on their way home. In the last 5 days, 105 citizens, mostly women and children, were killed in their homes for being immigrants or leaning left. The Maras massacre initiated martial law and a curfew was put in place so the government could regain control. Many witnesses claim that the police and military did nothing but assist the Grey Wolves in their attack and didn't attempt to stop them until enough civilians had been killed. This time of civil unrest would come to a halt in 1980. But before Amy takes us through that period, let's take a quick break.
Hey, listeners, if you live in Colorado and haven't added functional fungi to your wellness routine, you might be missing that key ingredient.
That's right. Studies show that mushrooms can have a variety of benefits, and the folks over at Activated Brands have done the science for us.
Located in Arvada, Colorado, Activated uses the latest in extraction technology to create high-quality mushroom products like gummies and elixirs.
So you get the benefit in convenient and tasty ways, like sour melon or strawberry horchata gummies, and the apple mint elixir.
And not just products, Activated Brands host workshops, offer a community workspace to local growers, and have all the supplies, information, and advice available if you want to grow for yourself.
And that's why you can trust a company like Activated Brands. They're always willing to share their expertise. But don't take our word for it. Go see for yourself. The lab is open.
For more information like hours and location, or to order products, you can visit activatedbrands.com or check them out on Instagram.
Now back to the show. Add.
All right, so the massacres that Roxanne has talked about, they shocked the country and further deepened the climate of political instability that ultimately led to the 1980 Turkish military coup. That was when the armed forces seized power, suspended parliament, and banned political parties. Many Grey Wolf members were arrested along with leftist activists. However, the movement did not disappear. Instead, it reorganized during the 1980s and 1990s through nationalist organizations, student groups, and small networks throughout Europe. During the late Cold War era, some Grey Wolves members became connected to controversial international operations. One of the most infamous figures linked to the movement was Mehmet Ali Agha, who attempted to assassinate Pope John Paul in 1981. Although the full extent of the organization's involvement remains debated, the attack brought international attention to the Turkish ultranationalist network. Throughout the 90s, Grey Wolves activists were linked to attacks against Kurdish groups, leftist organizations, and minority communities. Their ideology centered on pan-Turkism, belief that Turkic people across Central Asia, the Caucasus, and parts of the Middle East should all unite under a single nationalist vision. By the early 2000s, the Grey Wolves had shifted from the constant street violence toward political influence and more for like international activism. While still associated with militant nationalism, many of the group's activities moved into student organizations, cultural associations, and communities throughout Europe. The Grey Wolves maintained strong ties to the Nationalist Movement Party, which became an important political force in Turkey. In recent years, the MHP has formed a political alliance with President Erdogan's ruling party, giving nationalist ideology increased visibility within Turkish politics. The partnership has allowed ultranationalist rhetoric to reach mainstream political discourse. At the same time, gray wolves affiliated networks have remained controversial internationally. Several European countries have investigated or restricted the movement due to allegations of political intimidation and extremist activity. In 2020, for example, France formally banned the Grey Wolf organization following violent incidents linked to Turkish nationalist demonstrations. Today, the movement operates less like centralized militia and more like decentralized ideological network. Its supporters remained active in political rallies, online propaganda campaigns, and nationalist cultural organizations. While not always formally organized, the symbolism of the Grey Wolves, including the hand gesture associated with the movement, continues to appear at demonstrations throughout Turkey and amongst communities in Europe. For critics, the group represents a continuation of militant ultranationalism rooted in violent political conflicts of the 20th century. For supporters, it represents patriotic defense of Turkish identity and sovereignty. Regardless of perspective, the Grey Wolves remain one of the most recognizable and controversial, I wish I could talk normal today, controversial nationalist movements associated with modern Turkish politics. So I think it's time for a quick break.
Hey, listeners, if you reside in Northwest Indiana and are feeling indulgent, you should head over to chantillyluxurychocolates.com.
The chocolates are handcrafted, and each box is filled with expertly selected pieces for both their taste and their visual aesthetic.
Not only are they delicious, with flavors like black cherry cheesecake, salted caramel espresso, and butterscotch pecan crunch, the prices can't be beat, especially for artisan level chocolates.
And they feature rotating seasonal flavors, the ability to customize boxes, consultation services for a variety of culinary and confection inquiries, and party favors to go along with your next big event.
So, Indiana, if life is like a box of chocolates, you may as well make it luxurious. Visit chantillyluxurychocolates.com or check them out on Instagram today.
Now back to the show.
And we are back. What an ad. We love our supporters and the folks we get to collaborate with. Ironically, so did the Grey Wolves. By now, we have spoken about the police, military, and political entities that were supportive of the Grey Wolves and stood idly by while they wreaked havoc across Turkey. They weren't the only allies. It took money and powerful people to keep something that vile going for as long as it did. So I'm going to chat about some of these supporters. In 1992, a group popped up calling themselves the Alperans. They would organize members to block the media from covering violence. They recruit members and stick to a similar nationalist, fascist agenda with a twist of Islam, which is weird for the Grey Wolves with what they believe, but I digress. Many members have claimed to have fought for the cause. But in 2015, after they claimed to have sent 250 soldiers to aid in the fight in Syria, it was exposed that they had only gone for photo ops to use to recruit new members. They cover their activities under the guise of a foundation that promotes education, culture, and solidarity. Another big supporter during the earliest years of the Grey Wolves' activities was the United States and the counter-guerrilla operation named Operation Gladio, conducted by the CIA. This would involve psychological warfare, assassinations, false flag operations to undermine left-wing parties, and torture. And knowing what the CIA was capable of and what they did during MKUltra, which if you haven't already, you should check out our episode on that. I can only imagine how assaulting these tactics might have been. Finally, another large supporter and financial backer of the Grey Wolves is the Turkish Mafia, who operate across the entire country in drug trafficking, mostly cocaine, money laundering, racketeering, and armed robbery. Homicides have been linked to some members as well. They evade a lot of consequences due to corrupt police and politicians, and have taken out hits with help from the Grey Wolves on high-ranking government officials, like the leader of the Workers' Party and, at one point, the chief of police and his family. So as you can see, it takes a village to spread hate. It helps if that village is the mafia. Now, the Grey Wolves may have fooled many along the way, but not everyone. Kazakhstan has designated the Grey Wolves as a terrorist organization, For the record, Kazakhstan is governed by authoritarian rule and is also being called out for human rights violations against its citizens. So, like, for them to call them out, it doesn't look too good for you. So, for context, a terrorist organization is a group that engages in or has the capability and intent to engage in premeditated, politically, religiously, or ideologically motivated violence against citizens or non-combatants to coerce a government or population. And if you made it this far, you know that they have checked all those boxes plus some. And I want to close us out with a few thoughts. First, we have covered some hate groups, terrorist organizations, cults, and the like. We don't mean to bring up the parallels between what is happening or has happened in other areas of the world to what is happening here in the States today. Yet, they persist. This isn't us guiding the information to fit a specific narrative. We research one topic at a time. And to be quite honest, choose our subjects at random. Most of them, groups, people, or events that we truly have no prior knowledge of. And to break it down further, I know when Amy digs in, she pulls a mass amount of research and reads through all of it and summarizes the information to edit out overlaps. When I do mine, I outline our episode based on a brief online check of the subject and then pull my info for my specific parts. So we at no time discuss a specific goal or aim of how we want the episode to play out. There aren't any gotchas here. We just deliver it straight. And that brings us to topic like tonight's, the Grey Wolves, or our last episode, Golden Dawn. And if you go back to previous episodes like Brainwashing Brazil, or even parts of Hun Sen's Cambodia, you can see clear reflections back to what is happening here. Our history isn't exclusive to our borders. There are similar events happening all around us. My hope is that we, as Americans, don't learn our lesson the hard way, because as we have seen, the hard way can be violent, devastating, and needless. Still don't buy it? Then you don't want to miss our final episode of the season, because it's surely to convince you. And on that note, we're done. Amy, did you have anything else you wanted to add about Grey Wolves before we tell everyone what that last episode will be?
No, but I did want to go back over
Mm-hmm.
how recent all of this is happening.
Yeah.
In case you didn't realize, we're all talking about like the 2000s
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know things have happened in the 1970s, the 1980s. Homeboy was born in the 1917s. I understand that's a while ago, okay?
Yeah.
But all of this
Yeah.
stuff is still happening to this day. For anyone to sit there and try to argue that racism is not a thing, that hate groups are not a thing, cults are not a thing, it is. It's still happening. And
Yeah.
our president, as an example, knows exactly what to do because of things like this happening in other countries very, very recently. He
That's right.
knows exactly what to do, who it's going to work on, and it's extremely obvious for anyone who is willing to open their fucking eyes
Mm-hmm.
and ears
Yep.
and just pay attention to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, for anyone happen to be listening, pay attention.
Please.
I know that there's not a lot we can do, but spreading information, reading, researching topics,
Mm-hmm.
because whenever you become more informed, it's
Mm-hmm.
like fog is lifted
Mm-hmm.
and
Everything looks very clear.
it's like education is the answer
Yeah.
to everything.
And also be open to changing your mind once you get presented new information that should change that for you.
And
You know.
also accept if you were wrong, and people who are not willing to forgive you or accept it. You did what you did. You're an adult. You made your choices. You fucked up. You move on. If
Mm-hmm.
other people have a hard time, they're allowed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're allowed to change your position or your opinion or your perception on anything at any point in your life, no matter how old you are, no matter what. And I think that getting new information that you just didn't know before, didn't have before, is one of the best reasons to change your mind or opinion. Just be open to accepting that information.
And seeing all of these parallels in
Mhm.
other countries,
It's sad.
it just seems so fucking obvious and not see what's happening here.
Mhm.
I
No,
mean,
it's
yeah, and the attacks on, the left-leaning people. And one thing that I do wanna kinda get into eventually is, like, I guess, like, hate groups on the left sides as well. Like,
we
I
have them
We
we have
have
some listed.
yeah,
I mean, if I'm being honest, there just isn't as many. That's not me, guys, that's not me, like, picking sides, it's not me trying to say that is the facts. There
yeah,
has just been a lot more right-wing
right
hate
wing.
groups than there have been left-wing hate groups. That's just numbers. It's not okay on either side. We shouldn't have
We
yeah.
any,
shouldn't have any.
you know?
Like,
You
whenever
know,
we were doing the Bag of Madness, someone close to me was like, "Well, why don't you do the cult of the, Antifa?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not a cult because there's no centralized leader.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
exactly.
a concept, it's a anti-fascism concept that people have taken to because they do not want to live in a fascist fucking nation.
Right.
But there is no centralized leader that, for example, maybe gets their ear shot.
Yeah. I loved Wait, you just cut out. What is going on?
I got so angry that I
I saw
smacked my
I was like, "They must be listening, they kicked you off." They said, "Bitch, you
sweat
did butt
so
ears at
hard.
Mr.
yeah,
You know
Mr.
who?
You know,
Mm-mm.
My FBI agent is all enough from that bitch.
Shut that shit down.
Shit, shut the fuck up, that bitch.
I fucking
I
hate
don't
your FBI agent. If I fucking see him on the street, I'll hit him with my fucking car. Fuck that bitch."
Hey, as I was saying,
Yeah,
like,
back
nobody
to
from
it.
the Antifa is like putting a bandage on their ears, because their leader got their ear shot off.
Yeah. It's a
Motherfucker, that
difference.
ear is fine.
It's fine.
That ear is there.
Been fine, y'all. Been fine.
There's not a scratch on it.
No, not at all.
I
I'm
hear
so
nothing
glad I caught you in
hanging
this
on my
mood.
desk.
This is my favorite version of you. All
There's
right.
hey,
But like I said
like
before,
I said,
guys, we don't have to
we
look
don't have
outside of our borders if you don't believe us, or if you're like, well, that's an issue that's over there and that doesn't affect us here. It does. And we're going to prove it in the next episode. Amy, do you want to tell them what we're
You guys,
covering?
we're doing the KKK.
That's right, bitches. So if you don't think racism is alive and strong and well and kicking in this country, we're going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. And just to kick it off, I'm going to share a little tidbits of the
Please do.
KKK.
Yes, that's fun. I mean,
As
it's
I
not
am,
fun, but I like this.
as I am taking a break at the restaurant I worked at in Rockport, Texas,
Oh,
I
yeah.
got to see across the street people walking in white robes
Oh, yeah.
down the street in pointy little hats.
Yep. They
And
did that.
what was that, 2000?
That was in the early 2000s. And I don't think it was just once. I think it happened a
It did that
couple
many
of, yeah. But I remember it from the early 2000s too, because they were part of like the parade that was going through town. It was like, really, Texas?
Yeah. So if anybody wants to say, "Oh, they're not here, they're not doing anything, racism isn't a thing,"
We've seen it. We've
I
seen it.
was there.
This is there. Yeah.
I was standing there taking a break
Yeah.
in the hot fucking sun,
Mm-hmm.
watching these fucking idiots protest at, what was it, City Hall or whatever that building was. Like,
Yeah.
that's where you go to pay your
Commerce.
water bill,
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
I
What
know.
do y'all do?
Maybe they were there to
Uh,
pay their water bill.
Maybe they were there to pay their, like, hey, Randy, real fast, let me go run in and put a 20 so they don't shut me off. Motherfucker.
Shout out to Rockport for being trashy.
Hometown.
Yay. We could talk shit, right? I mean, they can't afford to come up here and do anything.
Really don't do.
What are they gonna do? Buttheads. Yeah, buttheads.
No, I said method.
Oh, and meth
Meth.
heads.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
But
buttheads. I like both.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's
All right, I
so
guess
yeah,
we'll let
stay tuned for
everyone
next
go.
time, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right. Peace out. Bye.